book is a strange mixture of data, superhero, and walking that fine line of good versus evil. And I liked it. Hi guys, it's April, and I'm gonna do this review the same way I do all of my other reviews. I'm gonna have the non-spoiler section up front, followed by the spoiled-filled dump afterwards, in case you don't want to spoil yourself, but if you do, no judgment. Someday, maybe I'll have a slightly different mix-up of that intro, but today is not that day. Now, I did receive a art copy of Hench by Natalie Zina Walschots from Netgalley for a free and honest review, and that in no way has swayed my opinion on this book, but it is something that I wanted to let you guys know. Now, this is the story of Anna, who is just a temp henchman. She works through an agency and she gets farmed out to different villains. She is in data entry. She does a lot of cataloging and moving around with data and analyzing data, when one day she starts a job under a villain called the Electric Eel. She is put into a position that has her face to face with a superhero called Super Collider. During the face-off, she is badly injured and it leaves her crippled for an extended period of time. And she starts down this data analysis path of analyzing superheroes and the damage they cause to both lives and cost. This whole book takes a look at what is good and what is evil, how that line is very, very wobbly. It reminds me a little bit of Vicious by V.E. Schwab. It has that same undercurrents of things that it's looking at, especially in superhero mythology. We always have this grand picture of superheroes being the ones saving the day, and we have these big superhero movies, but at the same time, we're seeing all of this damage and chaos that is happening while these superheroes are supposedly fighting for the betterment of the people around them. What we never see is what happens to the bystanders who are innocently harmed, the cost that the city incurs because of the damages done, and the origin story of villains themselves. It's kind of weird how analytical this story is, but at the same time, extremely witty. I come from a place of very much loving spreadsheets. So as Anna is falling down this path of analyzing all of these numbers and all of these stats and looking into these large chunks of data, I found myself very much in the mindset of Anna, loving every second of it. She is very good at making all of these very grandiose connections. So I liked her as a character for that. But at the same time, you have this very analytical side. You have this look into relationships and how your slow rise to villainy can leave a lot of your friends and family behind. And it also looks at the relationships between superheroes and the villains. This book was very fast-paced. Once I started getting into the story, I couldn't put it down. I wanted to know what happened next. A lot of things happen very, very quickly and very, very violently, as per the superhero genre. This isn't a book for anyone who isn't a huge fan of superheroes, because it still has that very superhero campy feel to it, even though it goes more towards this darker end of the spectrum, especially since we're mostly embedded in villainy and the henchmen that are surrounding that infrastructure. So you have to go into this book expecting that standard superhero world. You're not going to get a huge flux of backstory of why people have powers, why these really over-exaggerated things happen all throughout the city that are connected to kidnappings and murders and hits and politics and all the whole big shebang, because a lot of that is already rooted in the superhero mythology that a lot of us have come to know and love. It doesn't establish anything new there. It just takes all of that hero vibe, that campy vibe, the over-exaggeration, the big bangs, the very adventurous situations, and it looks at it from a side of numbers and aftermath, but with this touch of wit that keeps everything very, very light, because that is all part of that superhero campy feel, and I think this book keeps that very, very well. So if you like superheroes, if you like that contrast of looking at it from the other side of maybe the heroes aren't all that they're cracked up to be, you will probably really like this book. Now, this is the point in which I am going to start talking about more spoilery things. So if you don't want to spoil yourself and you're planning on reading the book, let me know down below so I can look forward to you coming back and starting a conversation with me, because I would absolutely love that. But otherwise, words are just going to come out of my mouth. I think my biggest takeaway from this book, because it's not necessarily anything new, I just really like how they did it because of coming at it from an analysis standpoint, which just spoke to me on so many different levels because I'm just that kind of stats and numbers person, is the fact that there's also this look at connection and love and it not necessarily being what you expect it to be. Because Anna has a lot of connections that she's making. She has a coworker that she knows is very attracted to her and she likes him, and she sees that. She doesn't necessarily ever want to lead him on, but she's very much thankful for that connection. And at the same time, she is very much in love with Leviathan, but it's not ever a relationship that is going to look normal. And it could never be a relationship that could look normal. But she still loves him, but not, it doesn't necessarily take sexual love or that romantic love. It branches out and it touches all of those little side shoots of love. And I liked seeing that connection. And I also liked seeing the dynamic between good, evil, superhero, henchmen, sidekicks, and the political structure of all of that, because you have at points people you never really expect to work together, working together, knowing that each side is in it for their own benefit and probably isn't playing all of the cards all at once. And there's still sometimes that touch of betrayal when things are held back, when you thought there was this deep connection, but there's still, in everybody's mind, there's a different connotation of good and evil and how all of that plays out. So this is a lot of political head games at the same time of slowly bringing superheroes down from the inside by slowly killing their network, by messing up their dry cleaning, by putting those seeds of doubt in their sidekicks, by leaking the numbers of bystanders that have been injured or killed, or monetary value of things that have been damaged in the name of saving one person, and things like that, which I greatly appreciate. I know this book isn't going to be for everyone, but I think a lot of people who are very much into the superhero universes will probably enjoy this read on so many different levels. I went into this and requested this book sort of knowing I would like it, but being a little leery because I'm not a huge superhero person, but I have a few superhero genres and authors that I have enjoyed, like Vicious by V.E. Schwab and the whole Renegade series by Marissa Meyer. So I very much like looking at the fact that heroes are only heroes when they actually stand for something and aren't necessarily looking out for the whole betterment, and they're too hyper-focused. So I think those are all the words that I have. I could go into greater depth, but I don't necessarily want to do that here. I would love to start a conversation with any of you guys if you've read this book. Leave a comment. Maybe we can message each other back and forth. But otherwise, if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe down below, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.